أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أما بعد. Again, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, truly and verily all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him and seek only His help and His forgiveness. We also seek refuge in Allah subhanahu for the evil of our nafs, which is the carnal desires. And Allah subhanahu says that the nafs is inclined to do su, so we seek refuge in Allah subhanahu from our nafs being inclined to do su. And we obtain this rahmah of Allah subhanahu by ati Allah wa Rasulullah al-Quturhamun, obey Allah subhanahu in the Quran, and obey the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Sunnah. We also seek refuge in Allah subhanahu from the sayyati amanina, those actions that are not sanctioned by Allah subhanahu in the Quran, and those actions that are not sanctioned by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Sunnah. And those whom Allah subhanahu wills to be guided to Islam, no one can lead them astray. And those whom Allah subhanahu wills to be led astray off the Salat al-Mustaqim from Islam, no one can guide. We bear witness that there is no God but Allah, the one God who has no partners, and we bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a slave of His messenger. Amma abad. Alhamdulillah, today's subject matter will be on the Niqaab. The Niqaab, which is the covering of the face. For the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the hijab. What are the proper ways to wear the hijab? How did the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how did they wear the hijab? How did the wives of the Sahabas, radiyallahu anhum ajma'in, how did they wear the hijab? We talked about the clothing, we talked about the thickness, we talked about the colors, right? We talked about vanity, being ostentatious. So now, inshallah, we're going to talk about the hijab, the niqab, which is the covering of the face. And again, the niqab was something that was done by the Prophet's wives, as well as the wives of the Sahabas. So inshallah, we're going to read through some of the hadith, as well as some of the sayings of the Salaf with regards to the niqab. Is it mandatory? Is it something that is mustahab, something that is encouraged? What are the hadiths with regards to the niqab? Again, we're continuing from page 15, the subject matter of the niqab, or to veil the face, between mustahab, recommendable, and wajib, mandatory. The esteemed Quranic commentators At-Tabari and Qurtubi, Shankiti, and others have elaborated on the form of hijab or jilbab, i.e. outer garments as viewed by the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as the circumstances surrounding the revelation of Surah Al-Ahzab, chapter 33, verse 59, where Allah commands to cover, quoted at the beginning of this essay. They state that when the believing women used to go out at night wearing ordinary clothes to answer the call of nature, some hypocrites tried to annoy them, the believing women, thinking the women were slave girls. The women thereby would scream out loudly, causing these hypocrites to flee. Thereupon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayat, 33:59. Al-Qurtubi states that the jilbab is a cloth which covers the entire body. Ibn Abbas and Ubaidah as-Salmani have said that it is to be fully wrapped around the woman's body so that nothing appears but one eye which she can see. So some of the Sahabas state that the jilbab should cover the whole body except one eye, but the whole body should be covered. The Tabi'i, Qatada, may Allah be pleased with him, have mercy upon him, stated that the jilbab should be wrapped and fixed from above the forehead and made to cover the nose, although the eyes are to be shown, and the chest and most of the face are to be covered. So we have statements from the Sahabas, as well as some of the Tabi'i, with regards to the covering of the face and leaving the eye. Furthermore, it has been authentically related in Sahih Bukhari, the Muwatta of Imam Malik, and the Sunan of Abu Dawood, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade the women from covering their faces and hands during the performance of the salat or while in the state of ihram making hajj. This indicates clearly that wearing the face veil, niqab or burqa, was a common practice during the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and not, as some people claim, a culture practice that appeared years later. So we're told in the hadith, and from the evidences of the Sahabas, Ibn Abbas and the Tabi'een of Qatada, that the covering of the face was something that was done. Not only was it done, But there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he forbid the women to cover the face and their hands during the salat, showing evidence that they used to have their hands and their faces covered outside of salat. So during the salat, the women should not cover their faces or their hands unless there's men that are around. So do not cover the face and the hands during the salat unless there are men around. If there are men that are present that can see you, then you cover your face. But if you're separated and you're making a salat and there's no men that are prevalent, then you take off your niqab and you don't cover your face or your hands. Among the proofs used by the scholars regarding the face veil are the following. Aisha radiallahu anha said, may Allah bestow His mercy on the first Muhajirat immigrants. When Allah revealed and draw their head covers over their necks and bosoms, they tore their material and covered themselves with it. Al-Bukhari. Ibn Hajar, known as Amir al-Mu'mineen in the Hadith, has explained that cover themselves mean that they covered their faces. So we have those of the Muhaddithin who explain these Hadith that when they cover themselves, it means that they cover their faces. Additionally, after the Battle of Khaybar, the Prophet ﷺ married Safiya bint Hayya. The Muslims said among themselves, will she, Safiya, be one of the mothers of the believers? I.e., will she be one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, or just what his right hand possesses, meaning the slave girl? Some of them said, if he ﷺ makes her observe the hijab, then she will be one of the mothers of believers. And if he does not make her observe the hijab, then she will be what his right hand possesses. So when he departed from Medina, he made a place from behind him on the camel and made her observe the hijab, meaning she covered herself. Sahih Bukhari. The issue of niqab has continued to arouse extended controversy and debate between the ulama, scholars, and fuqaha, jurists, both past and present, concerning whether it is wajib, mandatory, or mustahab, something that is favored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the women, and whether she subsequently falls into sin by exposing her face or not. Each of the two sides cling to their own opinions, which they support with evidence from Quranic ayat, the prophetic hadiths, and the practice of the Sahabas and their views. One of the views on this is that the niqab is legally binding on the women. She who abandons it is a sinner. So this is one of the opinions that the niqab is mandatory. So one of the opinions is that the niqab is mandatory and that one who does not wear it is a sinner. So I'm going to give all the evidences, all the views. So again, one of the views on this is that the niqab is legally binding on the woman. She who abandons it is a sinner. It says that the woman's face, which she is ordered not to reveal to non-relatives, is definitely part of the awrah. Right? So some state that the face is a part of the awrah and that it should be covered. The other view says that the niqab is simply recommended and encourages the women to cover the face. However, it does not place it on the level of mandatory. So the other view is that it is highly recommended. Highly recommended. Consequently, this opinion does not consider the woman falling into sin when she exposes and unveils her face, as long as in doing so, she has not applied facial makeup. So as long as her face is not covered, she should not wear makeup. The dispute continues between the two viewpoints and takes, on certain occasions, bitter aspects. The advocates for making the face veil mandatory accuses the other group of following their own desires, while the other group accuses their opponents with being obstinate fanatics. The matter is much broader than this and does not require accusations of abstinence or of following the desires, but rather requires reaching ijtihad, judgment based on the Sharia, and following dalil, proof from the Sharia, to the best of one's ability. To give the benefit of the doubt in such a situation is better and most befitting for the Muslims. Limiting the points of difference and narrowing the gap of disagreement are two factors which are sought after. As for the point of disagreement, it will remain under the category of ijtihad, whose advocate will be rewarded whether it attains truth or was mistaken. First, since the two views agree upon the legitimacy of the niqab, that it is a consummate perfection for a woman and more virtuous for her, as well as closer to the aims of the Sharia, which is to prevent fitna, and it is an obstruction to excuses as well as severing the path of those who follow their lusts. It is therefore more appropriate that the effort should be directed to encourage wearing the niqab and to motivate people towards it. So we understand that this is something that was done. We know that there are proofs with regard to the niqab. So therefore, we should be of those who advocate and encourage the women to wear the niqab. There should not be a discouragement of wearing it, for this is the best and the highest. This implies that covering the face with the niqab should be the general rule and uncovering the face the exception. Meaning that covering the face should be the rule, that should be the first goal. And to uncovering it will be the exception. Again, this should be something that is expressed and stressed, and to uncover should be the exception. Second, in spite of the fact that there are different views on the Islamic ruling regarding whether the niqab is obligatory or recommended, it is undoubtedly one's duty to unify the call for it and cooperate as much as possible in urging young women about its necessity and to limit their desire to expose their faces as much as possible. So understanding that this is a part of the Sunnah, and it is the best, it was practiced by the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, as well as practiced by the Sahaba's wives, radiyallahu anhum ajma'een, and that we should encourage our young women to do it, as well as to discourage them from showing their faces, as stated by the Salaf and some of the scholars, that the face is part of the awrah, or that which is part of the beauty. When we are asked what is the form of hijab according to the Sharia, especially from a woman who loves the deen, you should urge and encourage her to wear the niqab, even if you are of the opinion that it is only mustahab. So when we're asked about the hijab for the woman, even if you're of the opinion that it's just mustahab, you should encourage your women folk to wear the niqab, because this is the best. Lastly, we truly hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the day when all believing women rush to cover their faces with full contentment of their souls, and desire for their deen is the strongest of desires. This is a hope which, without any doubt, is shared with me by those who are of the opinion of it being mustahab, and those who are of the opinion that it is wajib. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us along the straight path and protect us from deviation. After having guidance, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the leaders of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all who follow their footsteps until the final hour. Ameen. So again, we have the niqab, and we have the evidences from the hadith, and we're told from the muhaddith, we're told from the sahabas, we're told from the tabi'een with regards to the jilbab and regards to the tafsir in these ayats, that it's meant to cover the whole face except the eyes. So the highest form of faith for the Muslim sister is to wear the niqab. This is the highest. The exception, or that which the least bare minimum for the woman, is that she does not have to cover her face or her hands, but everything else must be covered. But as stated by the scholars, we should encourage this when the women are asked about the hijab of the woman, or what is the proper covering of the women. We should try to encourage the niqab for them to strive to be the best, inshallah. Okay? So, the niqab is something, as again, there's two opinions of it. Some of the opinion that it is mandatory and a sin not to be worn based on certain hadith and certain explanations from the tabi'een and the sahabas. And the other opinion that it is highly recommended. Okay? And if one does not cover the face, that they should not wear makeup on their face. If they do uncover their face, they should not wear makeup. Okay? And understanding with both the opinions that it is highly recommended, and it is something that makes a woman the highest of the highest. And again, the same way with the men, we strive to be of the muhsineen. The women should strive to be of the muhsinat, those who are the highest level of faith in the deen. And the highest level of deen for the woman is to wear the niqab. Okay, this should be something that is encouraged. This should be something that should be spread. And this is something that should be the norm. Okay, This is a sunnah that has been lost, as stated by the scholars, that we, or some have taken the examples of the people of the West, but this is a norm. This is not something that is cultural. This is not something, well, they do that over there. No, this was done in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was also done in the time of the Tabi'een. So this is part of the sunnah, as well as we're told in the tafsir that Ibn Abbas, Ridwan, as well as the Tabi'i, Qatada, that they explain the jilbab, or that which covers, is to cover the face as well. And again, the intent is not to browbeat. The intent is not to point fingers. The intent is not to say, I'm better than you. But the intent is to learn the dalil from the Quran, learn the dalil from the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, learn the explanation of these hadiths by the Sahabas as well as the Tabi'een. See what it is that they said and strive to be the best in this deen.